Hello, guys. Welcome to Chasing a Murder. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the Lori Vallow trial that's going on right now in Arizona. Lori allegedly is a murderer, killed Charles in cold blood. But according to Lori, it was self-defense. And I've said this every time I've made a video, I think, lately, is there are so many lives that are destroyed by Lori. She's been representing herself in court, and she's actually kept it pretty professional so far, except for the questions she's asking and her understanding of how the courtroom works is not going so well for her. She's asking questions that really have nothing to do with proving or disproving anything. The majority of her intentions in the courtroom is just to point out these small, minor mistakes people make, which will do nothing for her. Now, for the jury, seeing this woman accused of it's a very serious crime, representing herself might be a red flag. What sane person would want to represent themselves in a murder trial? Now, at the beginning of the trial, they had their opening statements where the prosecutor was just making it obvious that her intentions were to murder Charles that morning, and Lori was using her religion as an excuse to do so. We will hop back and forth a little bit on this as we talk about what happened in the court the first day. I'm sure many of you have very strong opinions of what happened in the court, and it seemed kind of hard to follow since the streaming wasn't going all that well. Now, officers started describing the incident, what they saw, what they were dealing with that day that Charles was shot. And for them, there wasn't nothing that really stood out at first. The officer said his main purpose was to identify the people on scene. And to be honest, if you think about the deaths of Alex Cox, which was supposed to be of natural causes, Tyler Ryan and JJ, who are her own children, could their witness of this day be one of the reasons for them not being here today? Charles had plans to pick up JJ that morning, innocent plans to take JJ to school, but also had planned an intervention. Why? Because he felt like Lori's mental health was in a crisis. We found out that Charles had had a date the night before, and she will be one of the witnesses. It seemed that Charles had plans to start moving on and giving up on Lori, but he still had the intervention plans. Lori found out about those plans, and that's when they believed that she and Alex planned this ambush. Let's jump back to an interview with Lori Vallow and police after Charles was shot.
He says, coming to get JJ, and JJ's like, I don't want Dad, because he knows Dad took him away, so he was freaking out, right? So I didn't tell him he was even coming, like, Dad's going to come take you to school, I think. So he didn't bother me last night, which I was surprised. I was expecting kind of an ambush for him to kind of, like, come over or be just mean. And say, that's my house, I'm on the lease, I'm going to stay here, kind of thing. Because that's kind of his macho attitude. And so he came this morning, I was getting JJ ready.
So he got in last night, but he wasn't at the house last night?
Yeah, I didn't hear from him, except for he texted me and said, I'll be there at 7:30 to pick up JJ.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that was good, I didn't hear from him. And then he came over in the morning and he's like banging on the door. I'm like, oh great, here we go, you know. And I was just gonna be nice. I was gonna be nice as possible, and I had JJ stuff already for school. And so,
do you remember about what time he got there?
He said he'd be there at 7:30, but it was more like 7:40ish or 7:35. I don't know.
Okay.
But I remember looking at the clock, and he wasn't there at 7:30. And then JJ was like, oh, Dad. And then he was like, Mommy, and like ran to me, like holding me. He's like, you're not taking me to school. was like, it's okay, Daddy can just drive you to school, it's not a big deal. You know, just trying to make it whatever. Yeah, calm. And then he was just being real smirky and real like jerky, you know, to me. And I was like ignoring him, whatever. And so he was like,
Your brother lives there with you?
no,
Okay.
he had stayed with me last night because I was worried he was going to come over and cause trouble with me.
Okay.
And just wanted someone else there, like my brother there, because I trust my brother. And it's been a long story. Like, I had to go live at my brother's when he took JJ, and, you know, he's just been difficult. So, anyway.
Let's fix this lie immediately. Lori Vallow took off over 58 days, abandoned JJ, didn't call him, didn't check on him, and she was living with her brother Alex for a short period. But here she is making herself out to look like this great mother that she is not again. And that was the thing that the Cox family tried to push for a long time, that she was this great mom. Great moms don't just turn dark overnight.
So I got JJ stuff ready. And he was like, well, and he's like this about timing. He's like, I'm leaving in 20 minutes because it's like 15 minutes to the school. Like, you can't get there early. They don't open the gates until 8:20 or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you just go now? I don't want him in the house. I'm like, why don't you just go now and take him to Burger King?
So what we learned in court was Alex Cox shot Charles in the chest twice. When the police arrive, they look at Charles and notice that he appears to be dead. Alex Cox was on the phone with 911 and was being coached to give CPR to Charles. He must have been pretending because, according to the EMT, there wasn't any signs of more blood that had kind of gushed out, for lack of better terms, while giving CPR, making the blood circulate. Not only that, there was blood pooling on the back, signs that he had been dead a bit longer than they were told. The police were not even called until over 40 minutes after he had been shot.
47 minutes later. The police arrived at 5531 South Four Peaks Place at about 8:41 a.m. Instead, she comments about her neighbors. You'll learn that the police then pulled her aside to do what they call a death notification, to let her know that her husband was dead. Only to their surprise, she told them she knew she was there. So at this point, the police knew they needed to take her to the police station and question her.
The police do question Lori, and they have questions as to how she was using that bat, how Alex was using the bat, Tylee, and Charles. I'm about to play a clip for you from that interview, and I want you to watch it closely and tell me what you see and what you hear.
And I was right there, they were right there, and my brother grabbed him from behind, like, just to stop him from hitting Tylee.
You go like this, like he grabbed him, like.
Yeah, from behind, like, just kind of to pull him back. And then they got into the thing, and he's hitting him with the bat, and they're on the ground, like, grappling around or whatever. And then, I was all
And he
quickly.
And he hit your brother with the bat while they were grappling and stuff.
Yeah, yes, he was hitting him with the bat, like swinging the bat, back and forth, and they were kind of like on the ground, and I was like freaking out trying to go around, knowing JJ was in the car, right? And so then he got up and he had the bat like this towards me, and I was going around the other side to try to just get out of his range where he couldn't hit me. And then I had told Tylee, because she was on the ground, because after he took the bat from her, she fell back. And so I told her, I was like, go get in the car with JJ. Like, I don't want JJ coming in to the house. And I wanted her out of the way. I wanted the kids out of the way of whatever this fight was going to be. And then,
Do you remember?
Lori's description of how Charles is holding the bat and the direction he's swinging it doesn't make sense. Also, you can hear hints where Lori's throwing in her personal plans with her sudden description of chaos with the kids. She had plans, it sounds like, that she wanted to make sure the kids were out of the house. That was important. You gotta remember, Lori had planned this ambush allegedly, and if you think of it that way, her concerns for her kids is zero. So what she's saying is most likely her plans beforehand. There's only a few reasons that she would not want her children there. Number one, she's a caring mother. Number two, she had planned to make sure that the kids didn't witness anything. Number one is most likely not the case, considering what we know today.
You'll learn that Lori Vallow was interviewed by the police. She was treated very kindly. The police asked her what happened. Lori Vallow told the police that she took Charles's cell phone. She admitted that she was the reason that Charles didn't just leave and take JJ to school. She told police in no uncertain terms that Charles was demanding his phone back. She told police that Alex came out, that he and Charles got into this scuffle with the bat, that Charles hit him in the head with the bat. She still didn't give Charles back the phone. What she did instead was take his phone and go around that wall into the kitchen. Left the situation. Time to let brother Alex be Nephi. That Charles took it away from Tylee, and Tylee fell on the ground. And she told Tylee to go out to the car with JJ. She still didn't return the phone. She told police that Alex came out, that he and Charles got into this scuffle with the bat, that Charles hit him in the head with the bat. She still didn't give Charles back the phone. What she did instead was take his phone and go around that wall into the kitchen. Left the situation. Time to let brother Alex be Nephi. And then you're going to see his phone leave with the defendant and what she does all day with it. That Adam then texted, "They're planning something." And Charles responded, "Absolutely." You'll learn that Charles read that text message from Adam, but he didn't respond. Adam sent one more text message to Charles at 7:49 a.m. on July 11th. He told him that he and his son were going to go play basketball at 8 p.m. to look for a specific church leader who was usually there and have a conversation with him. Charles Vallow never read that message, but you will learn that Lori and Alex did.
Sadly, we do know that many of the ward leaders and bishops were involved with this chaos, but somehow are avoiding being witnesses or testifying. I'm not certain what kind of example that sets for, other people in the future. But we do know that there were several people, leaders of this area and Idaho as well, that knew there was some disagreements going on. They were trying to excommunicate each other. Some of them were trying to help the right people, and some of them were not. But again, I'm going to mention Gabe knows a lot that happened. He was witness and he heard Lori threaten to murder Charles, allegedly.
This is where Charles Vallow was killed. This is where Alex Cox shot him 2 times. The first shot to Charles Vallow was to his chest. Charles Vallow fell to the ground. He put his left hand to this wound, and blood transferred onto it. You will hear from the medical examiner that this shot went through his heart.
The sad part is, according to the examiner, prosecutor, Charles was alive at least for a few moments because he was able to move his hand and touch his chest. They say that he was also most likely able to speak. You have to imagine, Lori claimed that she was there when he was shot at one point. Did they see this? How could they even live with themselves after doing something so heinous? So this is what the prosecutor's going to do. We're going to see today, on the second day of trial, which witnesses are going to come out and speak, give their expert testimony. And of course, a lot of us are just waiting on the witnesses, and especially the date Charles had the night before.
And that a person can take seconds to up to 2 minutes to die from that type of wound. You will hear that a person can still talk and move after they're shot in the heart. And we know Charles was able to move since he put his dominant left hand on his chest and transferred that blood to his hand. You will see that. 7:49, Lori left left her house with Charles's cell phone, his wallet, his rental car, and JJ and Tylee. She drove to Burger King, Walgreens, dropped JJ off at school before she and her daughter Tylee drove back to the house.
If they prove that Lori took his wallet during the chaos, her story where he left the phone on the counter might have worked a bit, but leaving Charles' wallet, well, that's not going to work at all, and things are not adding up at all, I'm sure, for the jury already, and we've not even hit the second day. And what we've learned is that Lori lies about everything. Is anything she says that come out of her mouth the truth of how she really feels about anyone or anything? Every day we learn a new reason to see her as 100% manipulator. And that is what you can expect to see in court as she defends herself. Thank you so much for watching. Share your thoughts, and I'll see you soon.